Hello. We have a surprise topic today. It is partition literature. This is our Independence Week. And this is also the memory of a very traumatic event in our history, the partition of India. We who were brothers and sisters have now become divided. A lot of writers have written about it, lamenting the plight of the people who were caught in the partition, talking about the aftermath of partition. This is a very important vestige of the colonial history of India. Today, we are going to do a quiz program based on partition literature. This is part of our Vallath at 10 live quizzes, remembering the horrors of partition. Do you know, guys, which is the Partition Horrors Remembrance Day? The Partition Horrors Remembrance Day is 14th of August. You know that in that midnight, we got independence, but hundreds and thousands of people also suffered because of this event that divided India. Till today, we are suffering the effects, consequences of this terrible event. Here are some heart-rending pictures of the partition. There are lots of people who have already done research on partition literature, and even today, it continues to be a relevant topic because new perspectives have come into being as a result of refugee studies, trauma studies, precarity studies, etc. So the partition of India continues to hold a very prominent place even in contemporary lives, even in today's nation. On the 14th of August, independence was granted to the former imperial domain of British India. And British India was partitioned into two countries, India and Pakistan. This whimsical decision of the British unleashed one of the most horrible and brutal mass genocides ever in the name of religion. Partition literature documents and reflects the horrors which created the largest mutual genocide in the name of communal differences. It is our responsibility to study partition literature, to share the traumas of our ancestors who have sacrificed their lives for no reason, but to the negative effects of nationalism. There are some very easy questions as well as some challenging questions here. See if you can answer this one. Lenny, a polio survivor, is the protagonist of which partition novel? Lenny is a polio survivor. Is it Train to Pakistan, Cracking India, Water, or Fire? Now, there is a little trick we have played here. The real title is known to us differently. There is an alternate title to this that is very famous. I know that many of you know. It is Cracking India or Ice Candy Man. It is told from the perspective of a girl, her ayah, and their experiences. Lenny is that girl, polio survivor. And it is by Bapsi Sidhwa. Which text among the following is pieced together from oral narratives and testimonies of participants of partition? This question in a different way has already been asked in net. Oral narratives, testimonies. Is it Thanda Gosht or cold meat, the other side of silence? The Great Divide. It is a book edited and published by a very important feminist and post-colonialist, Urvashi Butalia. It is the other side of silence. Other side of silence is a collection of personal testimonies of the partition. The novel, mainly set in Lucknow, is an autobiographical account by a fictional character called Laila, who is a 15-year-old orphaned daughter of a rich Muslim family of talukdars. Again, a 15-year-old girl, like in Ice Candy Man. And there is a very interesting thing about the title. I won't tell you now. Is it cold though? Sunlight on the broken column, on a broken column, the quilt, or midnight's children? The novel where Laila, the 15-year-old daughter of Talukdari family, is the protagonist, is Sunlight on a Broken Column. The interesting title is that the title Sunlight on a Broken Column is taken from T.S. Eliot's poem, The Hollow Men. It is by Atia Hussain. It is a 1961 novel. Dear friends, take it upon yourself to read extra about these books. They are very, very important. Option B, Sunlight on a Broken Column. What the Body Remembers is a powerful political and feminist account of partition. Do you know who is the author? What the Body Remembers. Is it Urvashi Butalia, Sharmila Rage, Radhika Menon, or Brinda Bose, or none of the above? Or none of the above. It's a trick question. The trick is this. It is Shauna Singh Baldwin. Shauna Singh Baldwin. That is the trick. It is a partition account by Shauna Singh Baldwin. What the Body Remembers. Mottled Dawn. Have you heard of this? Mottled Dawn is a book of stories by a very famous writer. Originally, it is not written in English, but it is partition stories. Is it Khushwant Singh, Saadat Hasan Manto, Ishmat Chughtai? None of the above. Mottled Dawn. I gave you the clue. It is not written in English. So it is Saadat Hasan Manto. Okay, we know him. Thanda Gosht is his another very famous work. Nathu is a young man in a novel. Which of these is the novel? Train to Pakistan, Tamas, Train to India, Making Peace with Partition. Have you heard of Bhisham Sani's Tamas? Again, it is a very famous partition novel talking about the fight between the Hindus and the Muslims and the disastrous consequences of this. Nathu, the young man, is in this novel. It is about religion, institutional violence, communal riots, and also women's oppression. Very famous and prescribed everywhere. A Hindu family is fleeing from the violence. There was also a movie. Which work among the following has allusions to Pakistan? Sorry, partition. Allusions only. Is it A Bend in the River? A Bend in the Ganges. The bend itself shows partition. Is it a river sutra? It is A Bend in the Ganges by Manohar Malgonkar. It is a novel with allusions to partition. Looking Through Glass captures the lives of several characters. It is a magic realist novel. Looking Through Glass is a novel which shows magic realism. The protagonist is falling through a train and falling into the past, where the independence revolt is going on. Finally, it results in independence and partition. Is it Bhabani Bhattacharya, Amitav Ghosh, Mukul Keshwan, or Amit Majumdar? Who is the author of Looking Through Glass? Again, Hindu-Muslim divide is a very important theme. Tell me the answer. It is, as you know, Mukul Keshwan. Correct. Some of you have said the correct answer. Those who do not know the correct answer, do not worry. You can always learn it later. Dash is a non-fiction book by Larry Collins and Dominic Lapierre. Larry Collins and Dominic Lapierre. It is actually not fiction. It is a non-fiction book. Through partition era, it takes us about the events around the Indian independence movement and partition. Is it Twilight at Delhi, Freedom at Midnight, Pity of Partition, ya Khwab Nama? Which of these is a non-fiction book by Larry Collins and Dominic Lapierre? It is the famous book, Freedom at Midnight. Freedom at Midnight is a very, very, very famous book. Set primarily in old Delhi, the story describes the tensions in the post-partition Das family. Which novel is it? Set primarily in old Delhi, which story describes the post-partition Das family? Bimla, Tara, Raja, Baba. Is it Fasting, Feasting, In Custody, Cry the Peacock, or Clear Light of Day? That is right, Khushbu and Shravani. It is Clear Light of Day. Clear Light of Day. Which story among the following is set in a Lahore asylum in the wake of partition? An asylum in Lahore. It is Toba Tek Singh. Very famous story. All of us know from the movie also. Isn't it? It is a very heart-rending story, isn't it? Yes. Dear friends, Ambika is reminding you, please like the video and please share it with your friends. Also press the bell icon. Okay? This work by Ambedkar, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, categorically explains the separatist politics of the Muslim League and how the Congress party, along with the British government, played their role in the partition of India. Which work is this? Yeah, Toba Tek Singh is by Manto, correct. Which work is by Ambedkar? Pakistan or the Partition of India, Memories of Madness, The Night Diary, Amritsar to Lahore. Do you know the work by Ambedkar? It is Pakistan. Pakistan is the name of the work, subtitled The Partition of India. Are you liking the quizzes, guys? Are you enjoying this learning? Very good. No woman's land. Women from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh write on the partition of India. This book is an unusual mix of memoirs, interviews, reminiscences, and reflective essays. No Woman's Land. Radhika Menon, Ritu Menon, Urvashi Bhutalia, Zoya Hassan. Do you know who is the author of No Woman's Land? It is Ritu Menon. This is a very important book. They might ask you in net set, K set is coming up, for example. MP set is coming up, for example. All right, study this. Remember this. The Pity of Partition. Manto's life, times, and work across the India-Pakistan divide. This work captures Manto's life through all the troubles and conflicts and communal riots. Who wrote this? The Pity of Partition. Is it Sharmila Rage, Geetanjali Shri, Aisha Jalal, or none of the above? Can you tell me? Yes, it is Aisha Jalal who wrote The Pity of Partition. Dash by Intizar Hussain is a great Pakistani novel, a beautifully written, brilliantly inventive reckoning with the violent history of a country whose turbulence, ambitions, and uncertainties increasingly concern the whole world. Which is that famous work by Intizar Hussain? Can you tell me? Intizar Hussain wrote Urdu novels, non-fiction, poetry, etc. Did you know he was shortlisted for Man Booker Prize? And did you know, guys, Intizar Hussain was born in December 1925. So many books he wrote. It is Basti. Basti is a 1980 work which has been widely praised. Remember, Intizar Hussain's Basti. Subah-e-Azadi, The Dawn of Freedom, is a famous partition poem by Subah-e-Azadi. Is it Faiz Ahmad Faiz, Imtiaz Dharkar, Ahmad Faraz, ya to Mirza Ghalib? It is option A, Faiz Ahmad Faiz. The Dawn of Freedom, Subah-e-Azadi. Will you remember? It is about the pain of partition. Aj Akhan Waris Shah Nu, Ode to Waris Shah, is another famous poem on partition, lamenting its brutalities. So, who is the author? Aj Akhan Waris Shah Nu. Aj Akhan Waris Shah Nu. Which language is that? Aj Akhan means one ode. Waris Shah Nu means for Waris Shah. That is a very famous poem addressing the Punjabi poet Waris Shah, who lived in the 18th century. So Punjabi poet, it is Amrita Pritam, of course. Amrita Pritam. And Waris Shah is remembered for Heer Ranjha, isn't it? Which English poet has also written a poem called Partition? Arey yaar, option B, W.B. Yeats. The English poet who has written a poem called Partition. Remember that. Dash poem. Whose poem? Dastak explores the idea of affinity with the people on the other side of the Sarhad, meaning the border. Dastak is a very famous poem which talks about the affinity to the people on the other side. They are not really your enemies. It is written by a very, very famous poet, Gulzar. Option is given here. Sorry for that. Gulzar. Now, are you ready to discuss some iconic movies of the partition? Movies are the way we know about partition, isn't it? We have not lived through the partition, but we have known about them through movies. There are a couple of questions for you. Mekhe Dhakatara. It is a classic of Indian cinema. One of the most heart-rending and iconic movies dealing with the refugees in the aftermath of partition. Made by a very famous Bengali director. Mekhe Dhakatara. Very beautiful movie. I watched it when I did the film appreciation course at FTII Pune. Is it Satyajit Ray, Ritvik Khatak, Mrinal Sen, ya Anil Chatterjee? If you can, you should also try to watch it. It is by Ritvik Khatak. Mekhe Dhakatara. The movie Earth intertwines the horrors of partition with the matters of heart of a Hindu woman. Who is the director of this movie? The movie Earth. You might also know that it is based on a book, novel by Bapsi Sidhwa. So, the movie Earth, it's an Indo-Canadian film made by the person who also made Midnight's Children. It is based on Cracking India by Deepa Mehta. Cracking India is the novel form of Earth. Deepa Mehta. Pinjar is a movie directed by Chandra Prakash Dwivedi. It is also a very famous novel. Who wrote the novel Pinjar? All of you know, I'm sure. You're just amazing people. Tell me the answer. Yes. Fire also, Ankita, you're right. Fire also. Bapsi Sidhwa. Pinjar. Amrita Pridham. Amrita Pridham's most famous work. Pinjar. All right, guys. So did you really like this session? We have to look at not just general things, but also specific subgenres like this. Would you like us to do sessions based on subgenres? I'm ready to do that. My team will help me. Okay? Will you promise me you will come and watch the video? You will like the video. More importantly, you should read extra about all these topics that we are talking about. Will you do that? If you do that, what will happen? You will become great scholars. When you become great scholars, what will happen? You will pass every exam. When you pass every exam, what will happen? You will have a great career. And also, people whom you teach will love your classes. You should also read some of these novels. We should also watch these movies. If you haven't watched, let us take a decision to watch these movies. Okay? So this was a short video. I will start the remaining units soon. Okay? Thank you very much. Have a blessed, lovely night.